ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, June 12th, Dividend X Day for our YieldMax funds, and this is the trading and holding coverage video for YieldMax funds ULTI, which is the Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and LFGY, the Crypto Industry and Tech Portfolio Option Income ETF. Both are weekly pairs. Somebody quick, give me another subscriber so I'm not sitting here at 666, please. And check me out over on X. I just give heads up when videos are coming out, as well as repost YieldMax pertinent stuff, not everything, but if it's like the declarations or anything like that. All right. So we go, as usual, every morning. We go down to each page and download the most current holdings. They update overnight. And then every afternoon, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, we go through and we download the intraday trades. Fortunately, that one shows all trades for all funds, whereas holdings, you have to go to each page individually. So when we do that, it brings us to this enormous page full of all the trades of all the YieldMax funds. Just to let you know what we're in for on this video. ULTI, let's see, starts at line 273 and goes to line 394, so 121 lines of trades there. And then LFGY starts at 407, goes to 452, so 45 lines worth of trades there. So we've got a lot to talk about. Try to get through it as quick as possible. We'll start out with ULTI. That's the more popular one. And we'll start with the trades because the trades kind of influence how much we talk about the holdings based on if they closed out of anything or rolled any options. So big action day as far as spending money. But we saw, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was over 1.75 million new shares added, purchased, more people buying into the fund. So that brought in a lot of money, and they're going to put it to work, right? Your money doesn't get to sit and relax and go on vacation. It gets put right to work. So buying shares of practically everything we're already in, with the exception of we sold out of GameStop, CoreWeave, and Oracle. I don't think there was anything else. I think it was those three. We bought more of everything else, and we added a new stock to the fund. It won't be on today's holding because we just added it today, but it'll show up tomorrow, and that is Circle Internet Group. Okay, so if you're curious about the money in versus money out on the buying the shares, I don't count that as option income, so it doesn't go into our calculations, but this was a $25 million spend altogether when we including selling out of a couple of the stocks. For the most part, with each of these purchases of more shares, down here it was just adding on to the collar that they already have. So they're selling a call out of the money, trying to make money on it, and then buying a put to protect their shares. So that's what SS is, selling short or selling to open, and then buying is just buying. But when we get to a BC, buy to close, we know they were closing out a position. So it's either because they sold the shares and we're done with it, or because they're rolling them. So I'll point out the difference. So we bought into a ton of stocks and then added to the collar. So adding on with APLD, we made $64,000. On AppLovin, we made $14,000. On AST Space Mobile, we made $28,000. These are all profit, right? Actual realized. I guess it would still be considered realized. So they brought that money in, they sold something, but they're going to have to pay to close things out. So they're not going to get to keep all of that. But hey, maybe we get to buy for a penny and keep the majority. So Coinbase is the first one where we rolled. We closed out our 260s for this Friday and sold 250s for next Friday. And then the associated puts to go with them, profiting $186,000. So that was a win, right? We're closing things out for 32 cents, opening things up for $4 and change. So Nice win there. Circle Internet Group, this was a new fund, so that we're just starting up our options on that. We made 337 on that one. CoreWeave, we got out of that stock, so they just bought the close and sold the puts, and we're done with it. Didn't sell anything new to open, and that cost us $21,000 on the way out the door. eToro added to our position, $1,000. First Solar, same thing, $4,000. Same thing with FTAI, but it cost us $6,000. So what they were doing, they weren't trying to start a new position, so they just added on to the ones they already had. So in some cases, they were not doing well, and it cost them money, or they were doing too well, right? So in this case, yeah, FTAI is doing well, so then the put is closer to the money than the call is, and so it costs money to get into it. But that'll all be fine. It'll all get washed out tomorrow when we roll to next week, and they'll just have everything starting and ending at the same time. GameStop, we closed it out. They took a big loss today. Me being a degenerate, I went ahead and sold puts on GameStop after they dropped 22%, because I think every major reaction's an overreaction, but don't follow my lead. I did do a put spread just to protect myself, just in case, because I'm not a big meme stock person. But closing out of that, we actually made $1 million on the way out. Added to our position of hims and hers, that was nearly $50,000 increase. Added to our hood position for $18,000. We rolled our ion Qs, closing out the 43s for this week and selling 42s for next Friday. That profited us $82,000, so that was a win, right? Closed out for 12 cents, opened up for over $1. LabVIEW is one of the triple leveraged funds. We just added on to it, $6,000 gain. Mara, same thing, $19,000 gain. MicroStrategy, again, adding to the position, $26,000. NVIDIA, same thing, $13,000. Oklo, same thing, $240,000. Oklos are out till next week already, though. So, but collected $6.37 a share, 100 shares per contract, 401 contracts. Oracle, we just got into them, and now we're out of them. So we closed that out. They went up big. I think it was after hours yesterday. I'm pretty sure they had an earnings report, or they had some sort of big announcement. So they popped up today, and we just decided not to roll them. We got out of it. So took a $314,000 loss. Palantir, we added on to our position and gained $54,000. Same with Reddit, $5,000. Same with Rigetti, it cost us $1,400. As far as RH, we went ahead and rolled this week's 210s and kept it this week, 195. So having some fun there. Made $159,000. So we'll be closing them out tomorrow, one way or another. We'll see if that's a win or not. SMCI added to our position, $20,000 gain. TEM, that Tempest, we closed our 67s for this Friday. We opened 76s for next week, and we took a hit, $439,000 dollar hit, a loss. I mean, TNA, the triple leveraged small cap bull, we added to our position, gained 9,000. TQQQ, the other triple leveraged, added on 25,000. Tesla, we added on 12,000. Upstart, we rolled. We closed out our $60 calls for this Friday, and we opened $57.50 calls for next Friday. That was a $222,000 gain. And we also bought in more on some of these, so that's where this 460 contracts is. So went ahead and added on to this week's 58 with that other buy-in money. Vertiv added on for a $9,000 profit, and Vistra Corp we added on for a $6,000 profit. So we had a nice trading day, and at the end of the day, we profited $1,851,000 on trades for the day. All right, moving over to the holdings so we see how things are doing. We haven't done this in a little while, so let's take a look at weightings real quick and just see what we're heavier in. So 4% in AST. We closed out CoreWeave. 4.5% in Hims and Hers. 4.8 in Robinhood. 4.4 in Nvidia. 4.8 in Oklo. 4.3 and 4 in Palantir and Reddit. 4.4 in TQQQ, 4.9 in Tesla, 4.4 in Upstart. So we're and then everything else is kind of threes, twos, and ones. So we're not real heavy anywhere. We're pretty nicely allocated, I guess you'd say. All right, Applied Digital closed at 12.51 on a 3.82% increase. Calls for Friday are 3.9 and 7.9% out of the money. $322,000 gain in value. AppLovin lost 0.75% to 380.58. Their calls are 5.1% out of the money, and it was an $85,000 decrease. AST Space Mobile up 1.23 to 36.92. Calls are still 2.93% out of the money. We'll be closing them out one way or another tomorrow. $213,000 increase. Coinbase lost 3.84 to 241.05. We rolled. That's what orange here is our under construction, because these are the holdings as of this morning, but this afternoon we rolled them, so they're no longer correct. We'll get the new ones tomorrow with the download. $442,000 decrease in value. Slide over here just to talk about our color coding. Right, I just said orange just means under construction because we rolled it. So when we're selling calls, we want them to be out of the money. When they get in the money, they get more expensive to close. So red would be in the money, bad, going to cost us money to close. Yellow is in our favor, but within 5% of danger, and green is in our favor and greater than 5% in our favor or out of danger. Doesn't mean anything, though. We watch stocks change 20, 30% a day. All right, CoreWeave, we really don't care what it did at all because we closed it out. We sold it. We're done with them. eToro Group up 1.92% to 64.17. Still 16.88% out of the money, but those are sold till next week, so we've got some time. We won't be rolling them tomorrow. $121,000 increase. First Solar lost a fraction to 167.83. Still 4.2% out of the money. Barely lost anything. $1,300 in value. FTAI Aviation up 2.82 to 123.74. Still out of the money, but only 1%. So we're going to be sweating tomorrow. But $300,000 increase. GameStop, again, we don't care what they did. We got out of the stock. So we're done with them. Hims and Hers lost 0.71% to 57.15. They've got calls expiring Friday that are 1.5% and nearly 5% out of the money. So as long as it doesn't get up to 58, we'll win both of those trades. $133,000 decrease. Robinhood lost 1.39% to 73.84. Calls expiring tomorrow are 1.5% and 2.9% out of the money. $280,000 decrease in value. IonQ lost about 2.5% to 38.71. I tried selling a put on them today, but I don't think it went through. They rolled their further out of the monies because they were getting real cheap, but they still have 41s expiring tomorrow that are nearly 6% out of the money, and they decreased by $371,000 in value. LabU lost a fraction to $60.54. They are 5.72% out of the money. It was a $6,000 decrease. Mara Holdings lost 3.25% to 15.82. Calls expiring tomorrow at 16.50 are 4.3% out of the money. It was a nearly $400,000 decrease in value. MicroStrategy decreased by almost $280,000 with a 1.9% drop to 379.76. That helped us because these were just about at the money, and we dropped nearly 2% to bring us 2% out of the money. So these will drastically be reduced in price by tomorrow when we go to close them. NVIDIA lost 1.5% to 145 even, so they are sitting dead on the 145 call strike price. They went up by 1.52% to that, so it will basically, if they, depending on how the morning starts tomorrow, will decide how good that trade ends up. But it was a $282,000 increase. Oklo lost 5.22%. I actually got into this without remembering to tell you the highs and lows. So the next one you can see was the biggest winner, but it doesn't really matter because we sold out of it. And GameStop was the biggest loser, but it doesn't matter because we sold out of that. But Oklo dropped to 64.48. That helped us again, right? They are now 5.4% out of the money after dropping 5.2% today. So that's going to be greatly decreased and turn that from a loser to a winner with 1 day to go. So, but it decreased our value by $1 million. Oracle, we don't care. We closed out of them. We're done. Palantir lost 0.88% to 135.19. They've got calls that are 1.3 and 2.0% out of the money, $158,000 decrease. Reddit up 1% to 116.20. Calls expiring tomorrow are 5.8 and 7.5% out of the money. Looking like we're going to win those, $187,000 increase in value. Rigetti lost 3.35%. Man, we just kind of had a perfect day as far as these were at the money. They dropped 3.3 to become 3.3% out of the money. So another one that's last minute turning into a winner for us, but at the cost of $420,000 in value. RH lost 1.1% to 176.87. They went ahead and closed the cheaper ones, and obviously that's where it started. That's not what they paid, but they still have 13% out of the money calls expiring tomorrow, and they decreased by $158,000 in value. SMCI up 0.35% to 43.36. Still 1.5% out of the money with 1 day to go. $40,000 increase. Tempest AI up 0.64% to 71.23. They went against us and kept going, so they went ahead and rolled these. We've got new options to talk about that'll be available tomorrow. That increased the value by $72,000. TNA lost 1.22% to 32.30. Moving a little further away from the money to 2.1%. And it was a $160,000 decrease. TQQQ up 0.65% to 75.69. Getting real close to the money. So again, this will be another one that, depending on how the morning starts, they'll go ahead and close. And if it drops first thing, we'll make out well. And if it goes up, we may end up paying too much. But $120,000 increase. Tesla lost 2.25% to 319.11. That takes next week's calls 5.7 and 9.6% out of the money. It was a $460,000 decrease. Upstart, that one hurt. Lost 5.7% to 54.58. They closed their further ones out of the money and rolled them the next week already. But they still have 6.27% out of the money calls at 58 expiring tomorrow. That was an over $1 million decrease. And like I've been pointing out lately, Vertiv and Vistra Group, they always move in the same direction. So 3.54% increase to 114.50. So we were about 3% out of the money, and now we're almost a 0.5% in the money. So we will see how things end. Let's see. We are only 50 cents in the money. So as time ticks throughout the day, if it were to stay the same, this would drop to 50 cents to close, but it'll start out more expensive. $281,000 increase, and Vista Corp up 4.24% to 173.87. These had a little more wiggle room, so they're still 2% out of the money, and a nearly $500,000 increase. So as usual, if you make a lot on the trading side, it's because you lost money on the value side. And if you make a ton on the value side, it results in losing on the trading side. So we lost $4.8 million of value. Wasn't a loss because we didn't take the loss. We didn't close anything out. ULTI closed at 619. These will be updated tomorrow. 69,250,000 shares. All right, let's take a quick breather. I need some water or else I'm going to lose my voice in the middle of this. Sorry, I try not to do that. All right, LFGY had a rougher day, mostly losers. Their biggest winner was NVIDIA at a 1.52% increase, and their biggest loser was GameStop. So if you watched this before, they make a whole lot more small trades throughout the week, and we don't sit there and track and talk about small trades that are worth $50 and $100. So we just total them all up. So the ones I will talk about, you'll see listed on the side. It's because they rolled them. So made a lot of trades. We talked about that. But Coinbase, they closed out their 265s for Friday, and they opened 255s for next week, resulting in a $142,000 profit. Right, they closed these out for 20 cents. They opened new ones for $240 to $270 a piece. So nice win on the week for Coinbase. GameStop, obviously they're going to win these trades because GameStop tanked today. So they closed out their 33.50s for 3 cents a piece, and they opened 255 or 25.50s, $25.50 calls for next Friday. Resulting in a $65,000 profit. Melly, which is Mercado Libre, they closed their $2,465 calls for this week, and they sold $2,440 calls for next week, profiting $28,000. And Block, or XYZ, closed this week's $67 calls and sold 2 weeks from now, $66 calls, closing for 7 cents, opening for $1.20, $1.40, so profiting $46,000. So all said and done, for trades for the day, we profited $311,000. Now let's go through the stocks. Let's do the quick look to weightings. Now they're definitely more skewed. Coinbase, almost 12%. IBIT, which is the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF, 9.6%. MicroStrategy, 10.8%. So you got 3 that are major. Maybe you throw Mara in there at 8%. And then the rest are fives and below. So we're definitely heavier in a couple of these than we are evenly spaced on ULTI. Okay, BitDeer. Slide over, sorry. Lost 3.9% to 13.29. Calls expiring tomorrow are 9% out of the money. It was a $182,000 decrease in value. CleanSpark lost 2.61% to 971. Their calls expire tomorrow are 8% out of the money, $144,000 decrease. Coinbase had a big loss, 3.84%, over $583,000 in value. 241.05 was the closing price, and they rolled these. We talked about that just a second ago. Core Scientific lost nearly 1% to $12.14. Their calls expire tomorrow. They're 7% out of the money. It was a $62,000 loss of value. Galaxy Digital up nearly 0.5% to 1942. They're 28.7. So they started the day 5 cents to close. I can't believe they didn't close them sitting 28% out of the money. But anyway, it was a 9% or a $9,000 increase in value. GameStop hurt, lost 22.5%. Oops, sorry about that. 1.1 million in value. They rolled those. Robinhood lost 1.39% to 73.84. These expire tomorrow, and they're 5.6% out of the money. A $100,000 decrease in value. Hut 8 Corp lost 0.86% to 18.36. They've got $20 calls expiring tomorrow that are nearly 9% out of the money. It was a $57,000 decrease in value. IBIT, they don't sell options on, just buy and sell the ETF itself, the shares. 1.84% loss to $60.70. It was a $226,000 decrease in value. Mara lost 3.24% to 1582. They have $17 calls expiring tomorrow that are 7.5% out of the money, and they decreased in value by 334,000. MBTX, they started playing this a couple different ways. They still don't buy any shares, but they've got a call spread that expires next week. That's 2.86% out of the money because they closed at 252. But then they opened a put spread, and I wasn't really sure where to put the color on this one because we sell something and then we want it to stay out of the money. But in this case, they actually did a debit put spread because they bought 230s puts and they sold 150s. That's why you got the negative there. So they want the stock to drop, right? So they want the stock to obviously stay below 260 to win this trade. But then overall, these are we're going to be talking about these for a while because these are out till the end of the year, 12/31. So their big picture is they are looking for the stock to drop. I mean, they basically paid $21 a share for these 230s, so they need the stock to drop down to like 209. I mean, that doesn't take into account the little bit of money they brought in for the puts, but they're looking for a 209-ish range end of the year on MBTX. So if you're into MBTX, not that I'm giving financial advice, but the professionals are betting that it drops to the low twos by the end of the year. Take that for what it's worth. Mercado Libre, Melli, lost 0.75% to 23.6882, $40,000 decrease in value. They rolled these out to next week. MicroStrategy lost 1.9% to 379.76. They've got two sets of calls at 395 and 397.50 expiring tomorrow. They're 4 and 4.6% out of the money. It was a $263,000 decrease in value. NU Holdings lost nearly 6% to 12 even. That actually helped us because they went from in the money and going to cost us to over 4% out of the money. These other ones don't expire till next week, the 8%ers, and they are pretty insignificant. We're talking 61 contracts compared to 3,871. There's a $298,000 decrease in value. NVIDIA up 1.5% to 145 even. The fund managers over here picked $1 higher, so 146 is their call strike price expiring tomorrow. They're 0.69% out of the money. $52,000 increase in value. Getting close to the end. Opera lost 0.58% to $18.99. 5.3% out of the money, but those are out till next Friday. $30,000 decrease in value. PayPal up 0.27% to $74.81. We're flirting with the line there. We are still 0.25% out of the money. So yet another one that, based on how things start first thing in the morning, is going to determine whether we do well or not closing out this trade. Almost $10,000 increase in value. Riot Platforms down 3.22% to $10.21. We're closing these out tomorrow. They're 7.7% out of the money. $200,000 decrease. Tesla lost 2.25 to $319.11. These 337.50s expire tomorrow. 5.76% out of the money. $127,000 decrease. And finally, Block lost 0.33%. $63.85, $10,000 decrease. They went ahead and rolled the I forgot to throw some orange there. They rolled the further out of the money 67s, and tomorrow they'll be closing these 66s. They're 3.3% out of the money. So again, we had a win on the trades coupled with a loss on the holdings, but the loss is not realized, whereas the win on the trades is. So $3.7 million decrease in value, currently worth around $131 million. That's not exactly right because putting in our end of day stuff doesn't update our market values. If it did, then we wouldn't be able to see these percentage changes and change in market values. That's why we're set up that way. I don't know if I said it at the beginning or not, but LFGY closed at 39.26. So, all right, that's everything I got for you. I got the dad joke coming. So tomorrow's your payday, collecting your distribution. So wonder what you're going to spend it on. I actually already spent a little bit of mine today because I've noticed, with the drop on X date, I got a better chance of buying things below my cost basis. Whereas on Friday, a lot of people are buying, reinvesting, whether they're on a drip or whether they do it themselves. So I already know what I'm going to get from each fund. So I went ahead and YieldMax was below my cost basis. So I bought my shares today instead of tomorrow. But anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Again, get me another subscriber so I'm not sitting on 666. Appreciate everybody very much. So, dad joke of the day. Did you hear they arrested the devil? How fitting when I'm talking about what my stupid subscriber number's at. Yep, did you hear they arrested the devil? They got him on possession. All right, last day tomorrow, so good luck trading. Hope you close out all your trades for a win. And we'll have a long one tomorrow talking about every single stock getting rolled. So catch you on the next one. Bye.